Simon Bachand writes, I was really bummed to hear that Disney decided to pull the plug on the third Tron movie. The reason that was given was that Disney couldn't find a viable slot in 2018 that looked loaded. Have you ever heard of such a thing? There's 52 weeks in a year. Surely they could find room for a sequel to a movie that made $400 million. Do you think there's more to the story?
Yes. Yes, there is most certainly more to that story. I wasn't really surprised, though. I think a lot of us weren't surprised when we heard that they weren't going to move forward. Remember, there was never officially a green light given to it in the first place. I mean, they were moving on it. They were starting to put the pieces in place, but I don't think they were ever officially got the green light to go ahead on it. And if you had asked me, what do you think the chances are of this movie actually happening, I probably would have said 50-50. There is more to it. What is it? I don't know. Since we don't have the real information, all we can do is speculate. My speculation is, look, the Tron 2 underperformed. Now, when I say underperformed, it made $400 million. They thought that was a $1 billion movie. Yeah. They really did. And it didn't get the critical response they were hoping for, and it didn't get the audience response that they hoped for. I was okay with Tron 2, but I could have taken it or left it, to be honest with you. Nothing about it really wowed me, except some of the visual stylings that they did were really creative and very, very cool. And, and they did certain things really well, but overall, I wasn't left wowed. I think this probably has more to do with the marketing department talking to the creative department saying, we don't think this can make the money that we need it to make, and therefore they pulled the plug. Just speculation on my part, of course, but not surprised. Christian, were you surprised when you heard that I got pulled?
No, and I just picture like these two guys like, hey man, I got a great take for Tron 3. It's going to work. We're going to take it to the big boss man. They're sitting around, they're coming up with ideas, and and they're working on it for months and months and months, and then they walk up and they see the big boss man and he goes, yeah, nobody cares about this. Get out of my office. And that's all it is. It's probably someone going, no one cares about this. It didn't make enough money. It was not. No one's been calling for it. Some people who read it were saying, well, that'd be cool, but it wasn't like this. Where is Tron 3? We need to see it. The second one was a disappointment. I liked it, but I was expecting it to be like this next big franchise where you just were quoting it and just talking about how great the scenes were. And it looked cool in 3D and like IMAX, but that shouldn't be your overall take from it. And it should be like, this character was great. This is the new sci-fi thing. They took it from this great property and that was a kind of a crappy movie in the first place and made it this big thing. And it's not. I think that they're smart to say, I don't know if we can spend the type of money and not make what we hope, that $1 billion goal. So
this is never a good sign. What is the one thing that anybody ever talks about, though, when you bring up Tron 2?
Daft Punk.
Exactly. We didn't talk about this before the screen.
No.
When that's the only thing people talk
in my
about?
car.
I was going to say the two words that you remember from Tron 2 was Daft Punk.
Yep.
And the two words that took Tron 3 down are two words, Tomorrowland. That's my feeling about it.
That's one word.
All right. The one word that took Tron 3 down is Tomorrowland. So Tomorrowland underperformed.
Yes, it did.
And Tomorrowland is, in essence, sort of like Tron. It's like here we are in the real world, and now we're going to this other, whether it's a digital fake world or some other world that, you take one person from the real world and they go into this fake world. It was a science fiction film.
That's a great point.
In a very similar zone as Tron 3. Disney put a lot of money into Tomorrowland. Yeah. They put a lot of big actors, great director. A lot of people had expectations. I can't talk about it because I haven't seen it. I'm still looking forward to seeing it, but everyone I know who's seen it.
I keep forgetting you've been in London for like 10 days.
It's like everyone who's seen it, did not have the great. They said it was okay. No one said it was amazing. Everyone said it was okay or didn't like it. And the box office also spoke. The people spoke. So that's one of those things where that's why things get the plugs pulled when it's like. People forget it's all about money. It's not all about money, but it's a business. So you have to be like, look, these things are underperforming right now. We don't want to make more things like that. What's making money right now? Let's put our efforts back into that. Let's get a couple more sure things before we could take that risk to create a brand new property. Because Tomorrowland was a brand new property. Tron 2 was sort of like a new property because it was almost 20 years after their sequel. So all those people who and remember the first Tron wasn't a giant hit either. So you have to put those things into account. Like the very first Tron wasn't a giant hit. The sequel 20 years later was like banking on a lot of that, nostalgia from the first Tron with updating it. They had an incredible score. It also wasn't a big hit. They did the TV series Tron Uprising, I think it was called.
Yeah, I like that.
That was great. I thought it was fantastic, but that also didn't perform. They canceled it. It only went one season. So they were trying to like let's go with Tron 3. Let's figure it out. And then when Tomorrowland underperformed, they're like scrap it. let's go. We're gonna. I think Tron 3 will eventually happen in some way, shape, or form. The world that they built in Tron 2 was great. I really loved the visuals of it. Story needed some work, but that's just getting a better story in place. So
I totally agree with you. See, the thing about Tron, while I'm not surprised that they pulled the plug, I do fully expect at some point we're going to see them go back to it. Look, it's a huge property, built-in brand recognition. It's got some stuff going on before it as well that you can build out of, and it's a big sci-fi epic potential. There's just too much there for them not to do it at some point. But I think your analysis of it is absolutely perfect. Understanding the circumstances and the context that Disney's in right now, what immediately just happened with Tomorrowland. They've got a ton of live action stuff coming up, especially built on their old Disney stuff that they're doing and having great success with right now. I think we will see one at some point. So I think that's great analysis.